Morning, everybody. Warm welcome. It's fantastic Friday morning. And what can we choose is a better day to have a conversation about real estate than Friday? Today, as you all know, this is Realty Check, a podcast where we deep dive, get under the skin of real estate, and discuss everything. And the reason we do that, multiple reasons. One, for you to know about how the landscape of real estate in Dubai is shifting. Most importantly, if you're a buyer who wants to invest, this could be a great place to pick up some of those little nuggets of gold, which will help you make a better decision. Now, today, to deepen that conversation, we have a very special guest. A special guest because she is representing real estate at different levels, specifically Dubai, and more specifically, the iconic Palm area. She's a villa expert. She does rub shoulders with the who's who of the world when she sells real estate. We're going to deep dive in a second. And this is none other than Olga Serbo. Olga, such a warm welcome to Realty Check.
It is. I love it. I'm going to take you around with me to do for any viewing. That was an intro I was looking for. Well, thank you for that.
Fantastic to have you. Thank you so much. Fantastic to have you. In fact, we are privileged to have you here today. I know you're a busy person, and it's good to know that you are representing real estate for Dubai to different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And that gives me as well great pride to know that when I work in real estate, I work with some of the best minds like yourself. So it's fantastic to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to deep dive. Before I go into anything, Olga, who are you? People should know who you are. Right? It's not the brand, it's not Novi Properties, that's all secondary, but who are you? Let people know who you are, please.
Well, Olga, to begin with, is a mom.
Good to know.
I'm not going to put brokering on the first stage. Yeah, I'm a mom, and a lot of time, actually, people, when they hear the name Olga, they expect me to be having a Russian accent, for example. But I actually was born in Moldova, but was here from the U.S., and my accent kind of gives it away that, I've been in the English-speaking countries for a very long time. And specifically in Dubai, we moved in 2009 with my family, and one of my second daughter was actually born here. So she's a true, proud, blonde Dubaian. It's been a family place, and we came here a long time ago for 1 year. Like everybody does. I come on 1 or 2 year contracts, and then every year to go.
Double with Dubai.
Now we're looking at 16 years down later, it's home.
Yeah.
So Olga is, I love Dubai. If you see any of my Instagram posts, I'm pro Dubai. I love it. And not because I work in real estate, because I really, really experience it from the family side, the learning side, and expat side.
Right. Ali, you've told me so much about what you do as a family first. And I know that you're busy in real estate. Real estate is on steroids in Dubai. We know the demand's very high, consumption's high. You've got people who want to meet the right-minded people as well today. The business is getting sharper. So in that environment, how do you even manage to balance both sides? You've got a nice family right there. I mean, one has already become 16. That's the magic of math in Dubai. One turns to 16 very quickly. You blink, your eyes done. How do you manage that balance? How do you balance it?
To be honest, that's one of the reasons why it's hard to move away from Dubai, because here there are services that it can help you out.
Right.
If my kid has to go to school, for example, they take an Uber and I can track it and it's safe and I know she's going to get to school.
Right.
If I need cleaning help with the party, after party, I do Uber again, call or Kareem. I think it's like 2 hours later, house is clean.
Right.
You don't get that much of convenience with that kind of lifestyle, easy and social life, anywhere else. I'm sorry, you don't.
Why? So that allows you to extract that time and balance it. Brilliant. Well done. Tell us about your journey into real estate. What brought you here?
So I was coming from the corporate side, but I worked in business development and sales and pricing and contract management. So it was always people related and relationship building kind of businesses. It was on the series side and government contracting, and actually our clients used to be Abu Dhabi government. Yes, some of the programs you actually might see, for example, if there's a fire in a skyscraper. There's a program, it's called Sky Cannon, and I was working on it.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's kind of from a serious background.
Right.
You get that, yeah. But then I decided, that the corporate world is a little bit becoming boring for me.
Right.
And I moved on to real estate. It's been my dream for a while, actually, to be honest. I should have done even sooner. Well, here I am. I'm going to retire as a real estate agent.
Lovely. Never too late. Dubai keeps you busy in the real estate landscape. Now, we know that specifically I mean, you are on top of the pyramid when it comes to real estate services. What I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, please, you are a specialist in what we know as the iconic, the most coveted Palm Jumeirah area, right? And you're a specialist in selling more villas.
Correct.
Okay. Now, that's a very specific niche segment.
Yes, it is.
And we also know that Dubai's sweet spot is not top of the pyramid, is in the middle of the pyramid. That's how the market's shaping out today. How do you manage in that kind of an environment? First, how do you manage to really reach out to a client of that category?
To build a relationship with the clients is rarely it's direct. You have to do the networking through the private family offices, through the POAs, through the lawyers' offices, recommendations, like wealth management funds, etc., etc. And most of the time, it's also once you build one relationship with one of your clients, they have their network of clients and
Right.
so it's like it's hidden door, but once you open it, it goes on.
Yeah, but I know it's spoken in about a minute, but there's a lot of work that's gone in.
Oh yeah, it's not that easy. Yeah.
But what do these kind of people as specialists, who are people who work, rub shoulders with the who's who, what are the things that you as a broker should have for these people to, first of all, take you seriously? I mean, you just can't walk into the door, can you? I mean, they don't just accept you the way you are, unless they know who you are. So what are the things that they want to see in you?
And most of the time, like I said, it could be the secondary service that they were looking for. For example, like I said, maybe they were looking for a good lawyer, and then they move on to the real estate. Or, for example, sometimes they were looking for a holiday home and they wanted to spend 2 months here.
Yeah.
And then, you interact, and then you build a relationship. So I feel like nobody comes in and says, hey, I'm Olga, let me sell you a villa. It doesn't work like this. So it has to be slow but surely. And most of the time, it's the secondary services that they were looking for.
Right. So my assumption will therefore be that you're not the type who will go after setting rainbows on a daily basis, right? I mean, you are someone who would want to sell niche products.
Correct.
So if you just look at the volume of transactions and sales that happen in Dubai, we close to 180,000 units last year, over 500 billion plus. And most of them are in that 3 million, 2 million category. We have yours, which is top the niche. How many transactions do you think someone of that caliber would do at that level? I mean, it won't be your 25 transactions a year, is it? How does that work?
No, for the broker in the prime and luxury segment, I mean, there could be a season, let's just put it that way.
Right.
And it also depends, sometimes you will specialize on investors.
Right.
Or the end users. So I feel with investors, there's more repetitive sales versus the end users, where you spend a lot more time building up a relationship, a lot more time viewing, choosing the right property, analyzing, etc. So you're lucky if you have both.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're lucky if you find the options for both, because right now the supply is limited. So I would say for a successful broker, it would be about, at least once a month should be.
Right. You also mentioned supply is limited, right? We have the Palm Jumeirah has the charm of the old and the classic. Mm-hmm. And then you have this whole challenge of the modern architecture villas that are coming outside of the Palm, for instance. Mm-hmm. Communities, architecture has become a lot more modern. Is there a classic debate between choosing a classic home versus a modern architecture villa? How does that work?
I mean, if I speak specifically about the Palm villas are about 20 years old now, right? So it's not even about the chart, but they just need to upgrade because of our weather, humidity, sun, etc., etc. Right. And you're absolutely correct. There is a demand from the end users and the buyers who want to make it at home for more modern, for more light, for more space, etc. So in terms of that, people like the established communities because it's already developed, everything's set up, you have the neighbors, it's easy, no construction. However, Palm, I think, undergoing under the new phase. I think in about 2-3 years, all of these villas are going to be renovated, and it's going to be the new face of the Palm. Wow. So, but in terms of what you were speaking about, not necessarily only about the Palm, I feel like the older communities villas, because a decade ago, were building larger layouts. So people prefer those older villas just because of the sizes. So I think the new developments, they have to attract and compromise for the smaller size in technology or architectural vows or, something to get extra special to attract.
For them to it's very easy to dissuade someone who loves that classic, huge, nice masonry work, big architecture, and then compromising that for smaller one. no matter how much I sweeten the deal, some of them are just fixed, right?
Yeah.
That actually raises a question in my mind. Who is a typical buyer for a mansion or a villa of that size? Who's a typical buyer?
Who's a typical buyer? So you have, obviously, for the Palm, you have either international and local demand.
Right.
International, if you look at the international buyers, it's basically high net worth individuals and families looking to relocate, and they're looking for the primary home, or they're looking for a secondary residence to do the tax status or weather.
Right.
And it tends to be that if it's a primary residence, that they're looking for the villa. And if it's a secondary, it's going to be apartment, more like Royal Atlantis or One Palm, because of the facilities and amenities, well-maintained, no upkeep.
Right.
And for the local demand and for the local, it's mostly investors who are looking to upgrade. And in the first category, the international buyers are willing to pay premium for the upgraded luxury modern villas.
Right.
And whereas the local buyers and investors, they're looking more for a deal because they still looking to make a profit margin on exit.
Right. I also mentioned that you have the investor category. Supply is not as much. We understand that the villa supplies are limited. Or looking at the stats yesterday morning, 93% on the apartment side, where we have between 5 to 7% of supply on the villas and townhouses. Given that environment, why would an investor want to choose to invest into a villa?
Into a villa because specifically on the Palm or generally?
Generally. I mean, buying villas or mansions. Why would an investor choose that category?
First, like you said, it's limited supply because that category specifically, and I think that's why smaller townhouses are doing so well and I'm not talking about high net worth individuals, so well with the regular buyers, regular investors. You and I can afford it, I can afford it. Like everybody can afford it. And it's doing well because I think Dubai has changed from the time when I moved here. It was consultants, single guys, single ladies coming here, doing their job contract. Now it's families moving.
Yeah, that's a good
point. They need space. And look at the schools. Like when we came, it was probably like 100 schools.
Yeah, at best.
And now there is triple the size and all of them are maxed out. So like the category of the buyers is also changing.
Right. We did see an upswing, for instance, if you were to look at apartments, we're seeing an upswing in 2 bedrooms, places like Business Bay, for instance. That tells us that families are more keen to relocate. Right. Now, as a real estate advisor, how do you help families relocate and find a nice property for themselves in a place like Dubai?
Well, it depends, first of all, where they're working. Obviously, for the Palm, most of the guys and husbands are involved in finance, or they could be working from home.
Right.
So it's a remote. So for them, it doesn't matter. Right. But in terms of for the family relocation, that always comes, where do you need to commute to? Right. What's more important? How many runs you going to do? More to school or more to the office?
Right.
And the activities could be spread out all over Dubai. So you want to be staying central. And
but you get to that level of details when you have
yeah, for sure. Well, of course, you have to. Otherwise, you're going to be wasting your time. Right. You're going to get frustrated with the updates you system. And absolutely. But sometimes they have a specific reference. They say, I want to be only on the beachfront, or I want to be on the green side, like Emirates Hills or Dubai Hills, or something like this.
Right.
So you go into that. Once you figure it out, which location works better for them, and then you talk budgets, because different budgets afford you different places as well.
Correct.
So this is part of it's not even helping me, just qualifying whether or not I can help them.
Right. So that's the other way around. You want to qualify first if we can help otherwise. Okay. Now, we saw a transaction last year. The largest transaction was 200 million. I'm assuming it has to be the Palm. You can't be anywhere else. We don't see that kind of transactions elsewhere. I mean, I see it's more the Palm. Will that be right in this making an assumption that Palm is perhaps?
Yeah. If it's a record sale, it's going to be either Palm off plan.
Yeah.
Or villa.
Yeah.
And we just recently had one in Emirates Hills.
That's a big one.
Palace, yeah, that was a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, normally it's a Palm.
It's a Palm.
And Jumeirah Bay.
Jumeirah Bay.
To say.
Why? Oh.
And we were talking about the limited supply, and a lot of naysayers, they say, oh, the Palm is maxed out, Jebel Ali is coming. Jebel Ali is 10 years away.
Yeah.
To be livable, to be comfortable, to be
absolutely.
So it's not a competition right now. The only competition now is Jumeirah Bay, but it's double, triple the budget of the Palm. So it's even smaller supply than...
More expensive, right?
Exactly. But the transactions there, they do happen. They are also record-breaking, but they don't happen as often just because there's not much to sell.
Right. Got it. Well, yeah, that's the supply-demand cap then. You also have clients who might want to be relocating to Dubai into communities, right? Communities that are more self-sufficient, communities that have. When they move into a community, what are some of the top things that they have in mind? Especially when they're buying a massive unit, expensive unit. May not be much in comparison when you convert that to dollars, for instance. I mean, I'm buying a 10 million here, it's like $3 million, and you're getting double the size of what you would get in the US anyway, with all these amenities packed and loaded. So what are those things that they look for when they move into a community?
You'd be surprised, but they think just like a regular buyer. After satisfying their specific requirements for like close to school, park, beach, mansion on this front, or the view of Atlantis, or the view of the marina, for example, in the Palm. But the major deciding factors are still going to be, is it worth the value? And is it going to appreciate in the future?
Right.
And will it hold the value?
Right.
No matter whether it's a budget of 5 million or 150 million, they still look at it.
Right.
Unless it's a trophy asset and nobody cares, okay?
Right.
Those are exclusions.
Right.
But normally, no matter how wealthy you are, finance matters. And the money
makes sense. Right, makes sense. And what, according to you, is an appreciation that someone at that caliber, that level, investing, let's say, 100 million into buying a big, massive mansion, what kind of appreciation do you think would appease these people? I mean, given Dubai is tax-free anyway, so you earning 7% here is like earning 3% elsewhere.
I think once you go into the mansion budgets, I think the most important part is that it doesn't lose the value. And like standard appreciation, like that they used to in Europe, in US, etc. Nobody's expecting 20-30%. No, that's not correct. And they understand it because it's not possible at that budget to continue growing at that pace. First of all. And second of all, I think generally speaking, forget even the mentions, I think this 20-30 appreciation in 1 year, those were specific circumstances of 21 post-COVID, some political factors that brought in, and it was fast. But I think it's going to slow down a little bit.
Yeah, let's face it.
I don't know who's going to be promising that, but but it will continue to grow because there is a limited supply and demand.
Right. Well, that's a driving factor.
Yeah.
Population increase.
Yes.
Dubai. I mean, we're seeing a drive in population increase. And that's compounded by families moving in rather than just singles like what it used to be. You spoke about remote working. How many of those kind of clients are actually coming in to buy villas or townhouses?
You'd be surprised, past year, because, the buyers for Dubai are typically UK, France, Germany, obviously India, local.
Yeah.
I've never seen so many Canadians, Americans, and Australians coming in. And I actually had a client, he was from New Zealand, and he is into personal training. He has his app, like huge following. He wants a villa on the Palm.
Wow.
And there are a lot of also young guys in the crypto area also doing that. So quite a few actually coming in.
That's been, I think, one of the greatest visions of our leadership of this country has been to allow Dubai to open up as many business models as possible. And you'd be also amazed to know that Dubai today attracts the highest greenfield investments in foreign direct investment, largest in the world, right? I mean, we picked Singapore as well. Now, keeping that in mind, people coming here to work, different business areas that they come in from, crypto, you mentioned, and people who are into different kinds of investments, moving from different directions and coming in Dubai. For them to call Dubai home, what are the things a real estate advisor, a consultant must bear in mind for them to settle into Dubai? One was relocation, which you mentioned. You explained how relocation really works, the reason for you to get into understanding who the client is. But how do you help them settle in? Is there a role for an advisor to play? Because today I see most of them are cowboys. Sorry to say, but I know that there are people who come, sell, forget, and done. Next deal, move on. But is that the way that you can operate in that segment? Is that even possible?
To be honest, I think other than just relocation, relating it to what you said about the Dubai government, I think also the visa programs, they have extended so many categories for everything. And with the Dubai boat show, now there is a visa for boat owners as well. I know we're diverting a little bit from real estate.
It's good to know.
Yeah, they're going to announce it during these days. That it's going to be a 10-year visa for the boat owner. But
so you said at the back of the boat show that just happened recently?
Just happening now, yeah.
What the Wally, right?
Yes, exactly. If many times I say Dubai is not run like the government; it's run like a corporation. They implement the policy. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Cut it. There is no bureaucracy in between. So the implementation time between we see it, we want it, we done it.
Yeah.
I see it also.
That's a great blessing for real estate advisors as well, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you get clients who are serious. You get clients who have the money and who want to really make it serious in real estate here, invest seriously. Government supports the entry, relocation, makes it easy for them as well.
Of course.
Well, that really has added to the real estate value, the potential intrinsic value of what you provide to your clients as well.
And plus, it also helps. I've been here for 15 years. So sooner or later, they're going to ask me, which school do you go to? Which dentist do you go to?
Right.
Where did you find your nanny? Et cetera, et cetera. So all of these practical things, and like, which gym do you go to?
Yeah.
Things like that,
It's something interesting I want to pick up from what you started off with. You said the network of people who actually invest into buying these, I don't want to call it expensive, but these large mansions, luxury units, are people who, once they buy, open up their network further for you, right?
Yeah.
What is essential as a broker for you to really build that kind of a network? What is the most important ingredients that go into it?
Being transparent and and going into a long-term relationship. Like, don't bury your fruit at the beginning, I think there are a few brokers who, like you mentioned, sometimes coming off the commission. And
Yes.
and that's a wrong turn, I think if you go in slow but steady, and that's it.
Right. I've also heard a few other brokers in the past who talk about transparency and what you said. Number one, being transparent so you can build trust. Second, being matter of fact. You don't beat around the bush with these people. They don't have the time. They don't have the intensity to sit down, listen to fluff or games. And third, what I also see is they take control of making that very important decision. And you'll find the flip side when you're selling these smaller units. You find salespeople tend to get a bit more pushy to get them. How does that operate? Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
So you cannot do any of those, classical sales. Create urgency or create this, unless there is a true urgency, unless there is a competing offer, unless then you're obligated to tell them, like, I'm not pushing to sell, but I'm telling you that if that's something you like, you might lose it because there's an offer. And unfortunately, you never know who does what, and sometimes most of the time it might happen, the transaction is going to happen between two brokers. So the client trusts you. You have to put all your trust into the other broker is representing either buyer or seller. And then, and I feel like a lot of time they just don't go through because, first of all, they're paranoid agents, people who don't operate on the high ethical standards, et cetera, et cetera. So it happens. It's industry, but...
Am I right in therefore assuming that this niche segment of clients is not everybody's cup of tea?
No, it's not. To be honest, it's not easy. It sounds like it might be glamorous and easy, but it's
not. It's not. No, you need to have a lot of patience. And there's one broker who once told me it's like using the hook, line, and sinker, in the deep sea, and you got to patiently wait. And wait. That's how it works.
It's 100%. And also you have to remember that they're all humans too. They might have a good day, they might have a bad day, and it has nothing to do with me or how I do my work. Absolutely. It just has to do you like you said, patient out, and give them a day to think about, and give them smiling, phone call.
And eventually they come back, right? When they see that you're not pressing them hard, but they come back.
But people, like when people in a business making money and they are successful at making money, I will appreciate people who don't waste their time, like you said, who are straightforward and etc. But
one final before we close down for today. Refurbished mansions. I know that in the Palm today, your resale are more of refurbished mansions. What does that market look like for people who want to buy specific mansions of a certain type, certain size? Especially the ones who love the classic homes where the unit sizes are usually bigger, lot sizes are usually bigger. And like what you just mentioned, is already done the 20 years of running. Are refurbished homes and villas also in the market for people to consider in Dubai?
Yes, absolutely. And specifically on the Palm.
Right.
Because like I said, the end users, they're looking for something to move in.
But
turnkey, bespoke, one of a kind. I come in, I feel it's home, I want to move in, I'm going to buy it.
Right.
And it could be that easy, but it could be that I don't like the view, or I don't like the neighbor, or I don't like, that there is a construction next to you, etc., etc. So right now we're looking for the refurbished for upgraded on a good front with a good view with good water,
Right.
between 50 to 75 million for a garden home for like 45 bedroom.
Right.
And from hundreds upwards to like on the regular fronts, it would be up to 165, 170 million.
Right.
And on the customers like N, G, obviously,
Right.
I, J,
Right.
they're a little bit different category.
Right.
And despite that people love the G billionaire, I still love, the middle ones, the EF, KL, because they have more view, more water, etc. So again, and that's me as a broker.
Right.
But they sell no, just want to have my neighbor to be a billionaire. So like if that villa was on front, for example, on a low number, they would never consider it. Never, because it's called G billionaire.
Got it. But also reversing the question. Okay, now one challenge is to find a client.
Mhm.
The other challenge is to find a seller,
Yes.
right, who wants to sell his unit.
Yes.
And put the card on the table, open it up. When the markets are good, I want to make a dime out of it. And I'm not going to be just selling my house at any value. I know it's prime and I want to sell it at a certain value. How do you manage that? Do you even get supplies? First question is, do people come and register or list with you? How does that happen?
Yes, absolutely. The one challenge on the pilot list right now, and I have a feeling that in the smaller communities, it could be happening, like for example, Jumeirah, Iowa, could be happening, it's a similar thing. What happens is there are a few owners who own multiple villas,
Right.
and they do the renovation. So it's a group. So you kind of have to break through. You have to provide a service that they're going to appreciate you for. Either sell or buy with them. So either I bring them the client or I find them a good asset to buy for their portfolio.
Right.
You prove your performance, then you're in again.
That again puts you on the spotlight.
You've
Got to bring serious clients,
Yeah,
right?
it has to work. You have to work. So, and I feel like also reputation sometimes in the broker of the world, especially in this higher end, is more important because if I'm calling you, I'm going to say sorry. Like I have to represent my seller. I might not trust you. I don't know if you qualified your client well, etc., etc. So correct. If you have a good reputation, it's easier to build relationship both with sellers and agents, and then the successful transaction is going to happen.
Lovely.
But if you don't, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But the palm market is not easy. 100% is not easy. No,
At all.
no,
Right.
it's not
right.
easy.
Olga, I want to thank you for all these inputs. Not everybody is forthcoming with, the intelligence and what they've gained over the years, but you've been very candid. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Okay, Olga, version 2. What's the next chapter for you?
Go bigger. On the pounds. Like I said, I'm going to retire. I'm going to sell Jebel Ali.
Right. It's so difficult.
But it's ready.
Yeah, right. You can't just take DNA of real estate out of an advisor. Thank you.
Yeah, no.
It's just kind of.
But yeah.
Yeah. Right. I want to thank you for today. Thank you for your thoughts. Thank you for sharing all this with us. What are the last 2 tips you want to leave behind for our viewers? It could be a broker, it could be a client, it could be anyone. What's the last 2 tips you want to leave behind?
For investors and buyers, because we deal most of the time with client oriented, right? So, and a lot of people asking, what's going to happen 2025? And I tell them fundamentals are there. Bubble risk is low because Dubai real estate market is not dependent on financing or mortgages. So relax. It's all going to be 20-30%, but it's going to be coming up. But be careful with the off-plan investments in terms of that sometimes attractive payment plan creates a rosy picture and overly optimistic. So if you're not financially strong enough to carry it through to the end, because most of the appreciation on off-plan products happening at the end.
At the end, correct.
So go for smaller investment and just follow normal as any class of assets. Don't put all your eggs in a basket, diversify, know your exit strategy, buy low, sell high. That's it.
Yeah. But I think a very important tip that you shared is especially being financially cautious.
Yeah.
Don't sign up for what you can't. They say the classic saying is don't bite off more than what you can chew.
Exactly.
But just stick to what you can and then see it through to the end. So one of the things that you also mentioned is if you do hold it to the end, then you can still see some nice appreciation.
Well, of course.
Thank you.
I believe in off-market apps. Off-market. I'm sorry about the off-plan market. But I don't believe that there are some brokers, unfortunately, who promise like after 20-30% you can flip for 20%. No, does not exist. At that stage, there are going to be only investors looking for distressed deal. That's it.
Right.
So don't be fooled by that kind of promises, because nobody wants a paper at 20% premium.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
So wait a bit.
On far from that, Dubai has evolved, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old days of speculative selling is over. It's
Yeah.
behind us. Olga, thank you so much. It's fantastic to know, first of all, that Dubai market has some very seasoned professional real estate advisors like yourself. I mean, you're not just Dubai groomed. You've been internationally, seen standards, and you hold your standards really high. So clients don't mind working with people like yourself.
Sure.
And here's me from DAMAC and DAMAC Academy wishing you all the very best.